Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. Very interesting discussion tonight. We have with us Representative Mike Stewart, Democrat from Nashville. He's written a letter to Marsha Blackburn, Senator Marsha Blackburn, asking her for evidence on why she will not vote or why she is rejecting the presidential election of Biden and Harris. So that's where we are. Ton of calls on this. Let's now go to Lucy, who is on the phone here. Lucy, hello.
Hey, y'all.
Hi.
Well, if you try to make sense out of crazy, you'll just go crazy. Mr. Stewart, you're an attorney, I believe, and anybody that knows anything about law knows that if you bring anything to court, it better stand somewhere in the law, either an argument or a statute or something. And what I've seen over the past 40 years, what we've done on the state level and federal level, I'm speaking about Tennessee. I'm sure other states have their own kind of crazy. But it's not about law anymore. It's not about serving the public, being a public servant. It's about going into politics to serve yourself and have us public serve you by taking our tax dollars to make you and your other rich friends richer. Now, that's just my opinion. There is a difference between voter fraud and voter suppression. Voter fraud is very rare and minuscule, but voter suppression is a very real thing. Saturday Night Live in October did a skit on voter suppression. I saw it this weekend, and it's funny, but it's not funny when it comes to working class people standing in line in the heat and the rain and being turned away or whatever excuse they've done. Now, that's documented. That's a true thing. Their vote didn't even get voted on, so that's an issue that the Republicans turn a blind eye to. But what they're, your earlier caller said that Bill Lee and Trump and all these people, this is going to be their legacy. You got to remember that Trump pardoned this guy that makes videos about American history and completely rewrites D'Souza, I think his name is, American history. That's what all this past 4 years has been about. There's going to be a documentary come out, and it's going to tell people what they want to hear. And Marsha Blackburn and what's his name, Hagerty, are nothing but two monkeys that work for this organ grinder called Trump. And they're more than willing to lay down because they think they've got every person that's a Republican hoodwinked to make them think that they don't see what they really see.
All right, okay.
Now, but
do you have one quick question?
I just want to say one thing.
Okay,
if they're going to do a documentary, I suggest that they use Nina Simone's song about Mississippi because part of the lyrics is about Tennessee, too. So maybe they should use that on their next campaign, Hagerty and Blackburn. Thank you for listening.
All right. A lot to say there. Let me, and if you want to comment on that, fine. I want to ask you a question also. Do you think the end game here is they don't like the mail-in ballots? They want to invalidate mail-in ballots going forward. Obviously, they were used because of the pandemic, and I think there's concern that if more people vote by mail-in, it's going to be bad news going forward for the Republican Party. Do you think that is the end game here?
I don't know what the end game is. Look, there are debates about mail-in ballots. I've had lots of debates in the Tennessee legislature. The fact is that the governments in the various states came up with their own legal decisions about what to do about balloting. They carried them out, and the courts have said they were totally valid and there was no fraud or no significant fraud. So the point is that's not really for Congress or anyone else to question. If the people of Wisconsin decide to vote one way, that's their business. They've got courts. They've got a two-party system. Whoever's elected gets to make the call. So, I understand that there are a lot of Republicans who don't like mail-in ballots. I don't really understand their objection. They work fine in Oregon. They work fine in other states. But that's a political choice that states have the right to make. What we know here is states made their choice, people voted according to the law, and President-elect Biden won. So once somebody wins an election, we need to respect that. That's the American way.
And what do you want to say about
Coming
what
up
Lucy
here-
had to say there?
Well, first of all, I would like to I would like to say that the suggestion that people use a Nina Simone song, which I've never heard in another political discussion, is the best thing I've heard in a long time. Because she's right, it's a great tune, and it should be heard more by Americans. Talk about an unsung and great American, one of the many that have made our nation so great and such a great cultural leader. The other thing I'd say is I agree with her that that it looks like Senators Blackburn and Hagerty are, to use her words, just operating for Trump's approval in the Trump machine. Here's the problem. This is the United States of America. It's not Venezuela. It's not Honduras. This is not supposed to be a country where people say totally ridiculous, unconstitutional things, people in power, just because it gets them an inch further down the road for their particular political agenda. This is supposed to be a country where when students are denied access to Little Rock High School in the 1950s, even though he doesn't want to, even though it's unpopular, President Eisenhower sends in the troops to enforce the Constitution. You know, this is supposed to be a country where Democrats enforce the law and respect the Constitution, and Republicans enforce the law and respect the Constitution. And when you have elected leaders in high position questioning elections without any evidence, that's a grave departure from the standards of conduct that we've seen in American politics.
Okay.
It's completely ridiculous.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, be back right after this.